microphone, body check 1, 2.
What's up everybody? Welcome back to the TR7 Skate YouTube channel. We're going to mix it up a bit this week. Instead of doing trick tip or skate tutorials, we're going to be doing a skateboard maintenance video. So there may be plenty of different parts of skateboard maintenance that are really obvious and easy. So for this video, we're going to focus on a few different things that we feel a lot of people could maybe benefit from learning. For those of you that don't know, the bearing is the bit that goes inside the wheel, which allows your wheel to spin freely on the truck, and they look something like this when they're taken out. So you can feel when a bearing's starting to die because the wheel won't spin as freely, but you can also tell by the sound that it makes. So this sound is actually a very healthy sounding bearing. That's a good sound. What you don't want it to sound like is this. Aside from the fact that that wheel isn't spinning properly anymore, you can hear that that bearing's busted, so that's when you know it's definitely time to switch them out. So now I'm going to show you how to take the bearings out of the wheels and how to put in some nice fresh ones. To start with, you're going to need some kind of tool to get that nut off of the truck to be able to get that wheel off. A T-tool is ideal, but if you don't have one, go and find your dad's toolkit in the shed, grab a spanner, just make sure you put it back when you're done with it or he's going to be angry, alright? So I'm going to put it on the nut, and remember you're always going to spin lefty loosey and righty tighty. So if I want to take the nut off, I'm going to spin lefty, so anti-clockwise. You should only need a few spins, and then you've got your nut, that's going to come off first, and then very carefully take your wheel off, and you should find there's a little washer on the top of it. You want to make sure you hang on to that and don't lose it. They're very little and easy to misplace. You should have two for each wheel, so there'll be one on the underside and then one on the top of it, and they'll just help protect the wheel a little bit, so make sure you hang on to those. The quickest and easiest way to get your bearings out of your wheels is actually with the truck that you took the wheel off of. So if you put the wheel halfway on, so that only one bearing's on, then all you need to do from there is grab it with your whole hand, bend it back, and the bearing will come out nice and easily. If you've got some nice new trucks, it's probably better that if you've got one lying around, grab an old truck and do it with that, just because you don't want to wear down the thread on your nice new ones. It won't happen straight away, but if you do it really regularly, it could ruin it. So if you've got an old truck, it's always better to use that, and it should be just as easy. So that's number one done. So now you're going to repeat it 3 more times. So we can't stress enough how important it is that when you've got a skateboard, you try your best to keep the bearings as dry as possible. If they get wet, they'll get rusty and they'll stop working as good. Like you can see very clearly with these ones, they've got rust growing all over them. You do not want that because it's going to affect your ability to move forward on your skateboard. So we've got all 4 wheels with no bearings in. The next step is to put in some nice clean bearings to get them spinning super quick. So the bearings I'm going to be using today are enough black ultra fast precision bearings, which are available on tr7skate.co.uk or in our store when we're open again. So you're going to get all these bearings out, lay them out on the table. Nice and fresh. You've got green on one side, black on the other. Missing one, there's only 7 there. So you've got 8 bearings. So when it comes to putting the bearings on, the best way you can do it is with the trucks that are already on your board. Don't worry about ruining the thread on them because it won't happen with putting the bearing on because it's nice and straight. So the first thing you do, you're going to grab one bearing, put it on the truck, and then you're going to grab one wheel, put it on the truck as well, and push down with both hands. And you should keep pushing until you feel that that bearing's locked in, and you can test it out by spinning the wheel and making sure that it spins nice and straight. So if it's not all the way on and you go to spin the wheel, you'll see that it's completely all over the place. So if it's doing that, just get it nice and straight and then you know you're good. So that's one bearing on one side. Now you're going to take the wheel off, put another bearing on and do the exact same thing again with the other side. and you should really feel that click as it goes into position, okay? So that's wheel number 1. Now both bearings are in, so we're going to add that washer that we took out earlier, put that on, get that nut on, start screwing it by hand until you can't go anymore, and then you're going to grab that tool, put it on, and you're going to start tightening. Remember, spinning clockwise this time, righty-tighty, and you're going to keep going, really important this bit, you're going to keep going until the wheel just about locks up, so it stops spinning. So you're going to tighten them too much, like this, and then loosen them off just a little bit. That's the perfect amount. You don't want it so loose that the wheel's rattling up and down, you want it to stay nice and still. So that's 1 done. Now you're going to repeat that 3 more times with the other 3 wheels. You remember how badly they span at the beginning when they're all rusty? Now they're really nice and smooth, spinning super easily. You'll notice that they don't make any sound at the moment. Even if I put the microphone real close and spin them, they're super quiet. This is really normal for brand new bearings. Don't worry, that's absolutely fine. It's going to take a couple of days for them to fully loosen up, so they end up going a bit quicker and they'll start making a bit of sound. That's when you know that the bearings are completely worn in and ready to be shredded. So that was a little bit about bearings. Now I'm going to pass you over to Harry so he can explain to you a little bit about the bushings.
Right, I'm going to show you through taking your truck apart, changing over the bushings and putting it back together. Doing some gnarly turns. Alright, your bushings. I'll speak louder. So if you've been riding your board loads, you might notice that your bushings start to look a bit cracked and a bit squashed, or generally a little bit ruined, like these ones. You can see really squashed in, ruined. So what I'm going to show you how to do is take your truck apart, put some new bushings in there. So I'm going to start by just using the T-tool to unscrew the nut on the kingpin, get it all the way off, nice and loose, and you just take it off with your fingers. You're going to have a bit of metal that's on top of the bushing. This one's actually fused in, so it's properly stuck on there. I have to move it off.
That happens sometimes.
That happens sometimes. If you could just, Sol, could you pass me that please? Sol, pass it here.
You gonna help or no?
Come on. Nice big roll of bushings here that we took a couple off just to do this up with. But look at it next to the old one there. Look how squished that is. Ruined. And the metal compared, you can see, it's totally destroyed. One thing to be careful when you're taking this truck off is your little turning cap in here. You got to make sure that's properly wedged in, because sometimes it can just pull out as you take the truck off. You want to make sure you got your bit of metal on the bottom here and your bushing on. The kingpin's coming straight through. You're going to put that back on there like so. Hold that up. Get the new one on. Bolt straight back on like that. Nice and easy. Tighten it up. And what you do with this is you want to tighten it until the bolt is definitely on the truck, and then you check to see how loose your trucks are. You can either tighten it up to have less turn on your board, so it'll be much tighter trucks, are harder to turn around. If you loosen it off a bit, easier to do. And if you say wobbling off your board, you'll be able to save it a bit easier. I prefer having looser trucks, but it's your preference. That's a couple of easy tips on skateboard maintenance that should keep your board nice and fresh, going nice and fast. If you need any help, don't hesitate to give us a message. We'll be sure to get back to you in any way we can. If you like this video, please give us a comment. We always love to hear from you. If you always want to be the first to see our videos, just click subscribe and the little bell, and you always will be. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this video helped. Goodbye!